In the headlines, 87 military officers graduate from Ghana Military Academy.
President Mahama breaks ground for reconstruction of KJTR market.
And on the foreign front, South African university students charged with violence. Hello, good evening, and thanks so much for joining us live on your news channel GBC24 and Ghana Television. This is News Hour. My name is Akpene Avo Ajaja.
And I'm Selike Makola Chiapalo. Also with us here in the studio to give us a sign language translation of this news package is Clement Sam. Now the news in detail.
It is still not clear if one of the suspended 7 High Court judges, John Ajet Nassam, who was to appear before the investigative committee probing bribery and corruption charges against him, has been found.
Ace investigative journalist Alnibrinal Anas and his Tiger IPI team caught the High Court judge on video allegedly taking the bribe in broad daylight.
Although the 5-member committee has begun sitting on the matter, Justice Ajet Nassam could not be located to be given a copy of sermons to appear before it.
We spoke to a legal practitioner, Samson Ayeni, earlier on the possible implications if the judge fails to appear before the committee. And we'll move on to other stories now. We'll bring you that story later.
The President, John Dramani Mahama, says the government will soon put up apartment blocks to accommodate staff of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Already, 4 new MH17 aircraft and 4 Z9 helicopters have been added to the fleet of helicopters for the Ghana Air Force.
Besides, 7 additional vessels have been procured for the Navy, while other equipment have been procured for the Army.
At the 2015 graduation parade of the Ghana Military Academy, the President said the current status puts the Ghana Armed Forces in a position to play their role effectively.
I do hereby grant you the President's commission into the Ghana Armed Forces.
After the commissioning by President, these men and women joined the Ghana Armed Forces with the ultimate aim to protect Ghana either by land, sea or by air. They must protect the nation even at the peril of their lives. Considering their training at the Ghana Military Academy, these personnel are no doubt ready for this task and must do so with a high sense of discipline, which is their hallmark. This year's graduating cadets include 36 personnel, all men, who pursued regular career course 55, and 5 allied cadets, including 2 ladies, for the Army from Togo and Benin. With the Navy, 18 men and 1 woman graduated in the regular career course 55. For the Air Force, 16, including 2 ladies, passed out in the regular career course 55 category. In special duties course 53, 9 persons passed out, and this included 2 ladies for the Army, while 2 were for the Navy and 8, including 1 lady, for the Air Force. Personnel who excelled in various courses were honored. The ultimate award, dubbed Sword of Honor, went to Senior Under Officer Rodney Odoi. President John Mahama commended the graduated cadets for their diligent efforts during their training in the military training school. He asked them to work harder to protect the nation. He said government is poised to resource, retool and re-equip the Ghana Armed Forces.
We have procured equipment for all theaters in which we are present, supplying all our contingents with the necessary logistics to enable them carry out their duties effectively. Some of these vehicles and equipment have already been delivered. Others have arrived in the country for onward shipment to the various operational areas. Currently, as I speak, procurement processes are also underway to rehabilitate military housing in garrisons all over the country.
He commended the Ghana Armed Forces for their role during June 3rd disaster that hit the nation.
I wish to use this opportunity to express my appreciation to the Ghana Armed Forces for the operational support you gave me during my tenure as ECOWAS chair, and which contributed to my successful management of the sub-region. Our world faces new threats to our general safety and security. Many non-state actors have managed to obtain sophisticated and lethal weaponry and are able to attack and terrorize innocent citizens of nation-states in which they operate. Suicide bombers, car bombs are detonated in densely populated centers, killing and maiming many. These are new forms of threats to our common security we must train and prepare to confront.
As the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the President later presented to the graduating cadets their parchments.
To the Ashanti region now, where the physical outlook of KJTIA, a popular trading center in Kumasi, is set to change. The President has cut the sword for the construction of an ultra-modern market complex at KJTIA. Essentially, the physical structure is expected to scrap the haphazard manner trading is done at KJTIA, where sellers have pitched small tents along streets. Napoleon Atokito reports.
It will serve as a one-stop shop for buyers. It will also be one of the several adornments on the Garden City of Ghana. When President John Mahama was joined by the traditional overlord of Ashanti region, Otumfuo Osei to perform the groundbreaking ceremony, it was evident the government was fulfilling a key promise. The landscape of KJTIA is set to change with this project, being executed and funded by Brazil. The four-phase project will turn this terminal into more than 10,000 shops with modern facilities. The $298 million facility, which is to be completed in 24 months, will extend into the redevelopment of the Kumasi Central Market, which is prone to fire outbreaks.
The renovation of these markets at the very heart of Kumasi is a political commitment. The renovation of the KJTIA and Kumasi markets is your full commitment, Mr. President, to the improvement of the conditions of work and the conditions of living of the people of Kumasi and neighboring areas.
President John Mahama thanked the Asantehene for intervening to iron out the social bottlenecks for the start of the project. He said traders who have been displaced by the current construction will be given priority when stalls are being allocated.
The technology transfer that will take place during the construction period will be impactful, and I wish to encourage you, Messrs. Contractor, to ensure that you maintain and improve on the 70% local staff strength during the construction period. The expansion of infrastructure comes with job creation and an increase in service demands, including hospitality, communications, and others. The living standards of many people during this period will thus be improved, and we anticipate that about 1,000 people will benefit from the construction period of this market.
President John Mahama says the new KJTIA market complex should be home for made-in-Ghana products as Ghana tries to import substitute a wide range of products. Napoleon Atokito reporting.
And we are taking you up north now, where there are indications that many of the SADA-sponsored trees planted within the country's northern savanna zone have survived. GBC24's Abdulhai Mumin has been to some of the abandoned afforestation sites and reports that, contrary to some earlier reports, that the natural vegetative cover was destroyed to make way for the afforestation project, the project has rather led to the preservation of the vegetation of some project sites.
SADA came under public anger after news reports suggested that although the authority sank about 32.4 million Ghana cedis into its afforestation projects, the investments appeared to have shown very little value for money. The plantations followed a June 2012 contract signed between ACI Construction Limited and SADA, an independent state agency responsible for coordinating a comprehensive development agenda for the country's northern savanna ecological zone. However, a draft final report issued by the University for Development Studies last year revealed that an average of 85 95% of Savannah Accelerated Development Agency-sponsored trees planted within the northern Savannah ecological zone of Ghana survived. When GBC24 visited the Achubunyo site, for example, the trees, which had earlier not shown any signs of growth, had survived and were doing well.
This is Achubunyo, a community in the West Gonja district of the northern region, notoriously known for the felling of trees for the purposes of making charcoal. Now, these activities by the locals have resulted in a massive degradation of the forest in these areas. SADA, having seen this, came up with the idea of creating afforestation sites along this area and in many other areas of its catchment area. Unfortunately, many of the afforestation sites have been abandoned since 2013.
I believe when you were even coming, you have seen a lot of charcoal abandoned on the road, so much. So this area, why we brought these farms to this area is just because of the burning of the charcoals. Because in future, these trees, you won't see them.
SADA's afforestation contract with ACI Construction expired in June 2013. However, many of the workers continue to volunteer to take care of the trees.
They have abandoned it, no pay, nothing. But upon all that, I voluntarily came inside and I've seen that it is a waste if we don't come in to take good care of this farm.
The dream of SADA was to ameliorate environmental degradation and mitigate climate change, as well as create jobs for the unemployed youth in its operational area. For many of the people living around the afforestation sites, abandoning the project has led to job losses. They claim that they are still owed various amounts of money by their former employers, ACI.
They don't know how to get funds to take care of their school children.
We turned our attention to the current CEO of SADA, Mr. Charles Abugri. He assured that the afforestation project has not been abandoned.
The interesting thing is that many of the trees are surviving. And the reason why many of them are surviving is that the variety are hardy and they are bushfire resistant. So the ones that managed to survive up to 2 years, 1.5 years before they were abandoned, many of them seem to have survived. Caring for those trees is a public responsibility. They serve all of us. But while we are doing this, we have to find a model to expand the tree planting, to involve many more people in the tree planting. And we already have some interesting proposals on that.
On the matter of the guinea fowl project, the CEO of SADA, Mr. Charles Abugri, is alleged by some media reports to have said that the guinea fowls that reportedly flew to neighboring Burkina Faso in the infamous SADA guinea fowl project scandal have started returning home. He denied the reports.
It was a joke somebody made. So did the SADA guinea fowls fly to Burkina Faso or something like this? The bird is not a migratory bird. It cannot fly for long distances.
SADA's jurisdiction comprises the 3 regions in the north of Ghana. It stretches to include districts located in the north of Bonahafo region and the Volta region. Officials say SADA forms part of Ghana's policy response to the widening effects of climate change associated with floods and droughts in northern Ghana. Abdul Haimumin, GBC24, Northern Region.
It's still news are live on your news channel GBC24. Now back to our earlier story. It's still not clear if one of the suspended 7 High Court judges, John Ajet Nassam, who was to appear before the investigative committee probing bribery and corruption charges against him, has been found. Is investigative journalist Anas Arimeyao Anas and his Tiger IPI team caught the High Court judge on video allegedly taking the bribe in broad daylight. Although the 5-member committee has begun sitting on the matter, Justice Ajet Nassam could not be located to be given a copy of sermons to appear before it. We earlier spoke to a legal practitioner, Mr. Samson Ayeneni, on the possible implications if the judge fails to appear before the committee.
Well, the choice not to appear, that is, if that's what happens eventually, is that you don't appear at your own risk. And the risk is that upon your failure to appear, the processes will continue as though you were present. What you find in the graphic publication of yesterday is what we call substituted service. It is notice to the whole world of the fact that you are required to attend on the committee for the purposes of the investigation, having not been available to be served personally of the processes to bring you to the place. So the law is very clear about it, and your failure to appear means that, for example, today the time that was set was 10 a.m. If he did not appear by 10 a.m., Anas and his Tiger Eye team will mount the witness box. They will tell their story in sufficient detail, in the manner in which they have couched their story in the petition, that they'll be fleshing it out in sufficient detail. After that, they have been led through that process by their lawyer. It would have been the time for Justice Ajit Nassam to cross-examine Anas, to test the credibility of what Anas had to say, and to challenge some of the pieces of evidence he has put out. So his absence means that will not happen. His absence also means that he will not be putting his case across, because after Anas has been taken through examination in chief, and if there was an opportunity for him to cross-examine Anas, then when the cross-examination is over, he, the judge, will also take the witness box and tell his side of the story, being led by his lawyer. And then when he was done, then his lawyer, then the lawyer for Anas would have also cross-examined him. So that is what it means. And it also means that the process has been shortened if he doesn't show up, because cross-examination alone could take weeks, could take months.
You heard the voice of legal practitioner Samson Ayenini on the whereabouts of Justice Ajit Nassam on the judicial scandal case. Moving on, 6 out of 25 staff of the Flagstaff House got injured when a staff bus on which they were traveling got involved in an accident this morning near the Akwa-J interchange. The accident occurred when a Tata cargo truck from Accra heading towards Medina hit the side of the bus from the presidency, causing it to somersault. The injured were rushed to the police hospital for treatment.
Patrick Accra, a fire officer who was on board the staff bus from the Flagstaff House, said the bus had just negotiated the curve at the Akwa-J interchange when the Tata cargo truck ran into their bus, causing it to somersault.
This bus from the office of the president, when we get to this very interchange, okay, according to the driver who hit our car and capsized, failed his brake. So when he hit, it capsized and fell. Right. So as a fire officer, I need to do my job. I came out, thank God I wasn't hurt. So I came out to rescue the others.
He said the driver of the Tata cargo truck claims the brakes of the truck failed, hence the accident. 6 out of the 25 people on board the bus from the Flagstaff House were injured and rushed to the police hospital for treatment. The driver of the cargo truck was not at the scene when the news team got there. The accident created a traffic congestion on that stretch, but the police was there to direct vehicular movement.
This is News Hour Live on your all-news channel, GBC24 and GTV.
We'll take a break, after which Esther Edu will join us with the business news. Do stay.
This is the business news brought to you by EcoBank, Hisense and Airtel. My name is Esther Edu. The Ghana Revenue Authority has held a sensitization forum for players in international trade on the newly structured Post-Clearance Audit PCA. The Assistant Commissioner of Policy Programs of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Richard Yawuche, says the PCA will ensure that revenue is legally due to the state and identified, also calculated and collected. The Ghana Revenue Authority has replaced 3 revenue agencies as the tax administrative body in the country. To ensure that it performs its role effectively, the authority has undergone reforms. At a forum in Accra for players in international trade, the Deputy Commissioner for Post Clearance Department, Mr. Isaac Krenzel, said the PCA is a process and not a program that is being run. He added that high-risk companies associated with international trade will be audited to verify the right revenue that should be declared to the state. The Assistant Commissioner of Policy Programs of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Richard Yawuche, said the PCA would also ensure the quick clearance of goods at the ports.
In the clearance process, there are procedures that you follow and information that you provide. Once you are able to set these standards, then those who follow them rigorously, you can determine that they are compliant. Those who fall off, and then if you look at the probability at which they fall off, if it tends to be very high, naturally they are in the risk area. Those who have a lesser tendency to commit errors, you can decide that because the tendency to commit errors is very minimal, you can give them the dispensation of clearing faster. This is what we are saying.
The president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Mr. George Ofori, said traders would back the PCA so long as revenue mobilization by the GRA would be devoid of any harassment.
You have a risk factor. That is where they want to come and check you. And so if you are talking about risk factors, it shouldn't encompass everybody as they used to be doing all the time. They should rather look at those with risk factors and go to them. But those who are risk-free should be left to do their businesses all right.
The restructured post-clearance audit PCA forms part of strategic reforms being undertaken by the GRA. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Communications has directed the National Communications Authority to clearly streamline the operations of telecommunication providers in the country to avoid duplication of functions. This came up when the committee visited the offices of AfriWave Telecom, an IT service provider mandated by the NCA to operate the telecom's interconnect clearinghouse system.
The Telecom's Interconnect Clearinghouse system will be a central monitoring system that will ensure that all telecom service providers connect their calling gateways to enable governments to monitor and track the exact quantum of international calls that come in and out of the country. This will help the government to properly quantify revenues due it from these calls. The absence of an interconnect clearinghouse has been attributed to the rising same-box fraud that causes governments to lose millions of tax revenues from international calls monthly. However, the National Communications Authority says they are confident AfriWave will effectively build and operate a common platform to monitor mobile phone traffic across all networks. The visit by the Parliamentary Select Committee on Communications to the National Data Center was to inspect the structures that AfriWave has put in place to start the Interconnect Clearinghouse. The committee was briefed on the installation that AfriWave has put in place to enable them work effectively and also fight fraud in the sector. Management of AfriWave say they are only waiting to receive the green light from the National Communications Authority to begin operations.
What we will be doing is we'll be making over 400,000 test calls through a certain system, and that would help us track the SIM boxes. But then that is just phase 1. There's a phase 2 where there's something called CDR analysis that we're going to do, and then a phase 3 which is called localization, where then we'll start targeting specific SIM boxes and arresting and having them arrested.
The chair of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Communications, Albert Abongo and other members of the committee were hopeful that issues of duplication of functions will soon be addressed.
Well, we're looking forward to having a common front. All of us should be determined to ensure that government revenue does not leak out, and we hope that issues of duplication, issues of capacities to deal with what government wants will be resolved.
There's only one clear thing which is specifically set out for ICH, i.e. the interconnecting all the various agencies so you can have one point of connection for all. That one nobody else is doing. So that is clearly a need in the industry which will facilitate new entrants coming in to do business much better and much quicker and much cheaper. So for me that's a plus. But all the other things they've added to it, revenue assurance, communication service tax, SIM-box fraud, equipment identification registry, all that can very well be done by the existing organization. So we need some clarity on the assignment of roles.
According to NCA, the implementation of the Interconnect Clearinghouse will increase accountability between telecom operators and also reduce the cost of interconnection.
Let's go to Takwa, where Toyota Ghana has launched the Takwa branch of its express maintenance service for its customers at a ceremony at Takwa in the Western region. The express maintenance service is a special after-sales service provided to clients within 60 minutes of receiving the problem. Since the start of its operations in Ghana in 1998, Toyota Ghana has contributed immensely towards the development of the country in diverse ways. The company has become a household name through the introduction of innovative and attractive products and services. The Toyota Express Maintenance Service, commonly known as EM Service, is part of the Toyota Customer Service Workshop Management Advanced Program introduced globally by the company in 2001 to improve customer satisfaction. The Express Maintenance Service guarantees reduced service time from the reception of the vehicle to delivery back to the customer within 60 minutes. The service has been in operation since its inception in Accra, Kumasi and Tema, and has been run on a pilot basis at Takwa in the Western region for some time now. Following the success of the pilot, the company decided to launch the program in Takwa and the entire Western region. In an address, the Takwa branch manager of the Toyota Ghana company, Mr. Cosmos Donfe, said his outfit is committed to rendering the best services to its customers.
I strongly believe that this express maintenance service will bring to you, our cherished customers, more satisfaction, convenience, and the kind of quality service Toyota is globally known for.
The field operations manager of Toyota Motor Corporation, Mr. Reuter Tokunaga, commended Toyota Ghana for establishing the Takwa branch of the Express Maintenance Service Outlet, which is the 8th Express Maintenance Certified Workshop in the whole of Africa. The managing director of Toyota Ghana is Mr. Teshuya Tuimachu.
It is important to note here that we have successfully been running at EM program in our Accra, Tema and Kumasi branches. So far, it is very well appreciated by customers, as it provided them with the speed, efficiency, reliable and high-quality service.
Meanwhile, the company has handed over a mechanized borehole it constructed for the chiefs and people of Nkaka in the Amenfi Central District of the Western region at the cost of 27,000 Ghana cedis. The community has been without a source of potable water for years. The District Assembly and the District Directorate of the Ghana Education Service therefore appealed to the company to provide the community with clean water. It was a joyful moment for the people when they gathered to witness the inauguration of the borehole. Let's have the performance of the cedi on the interbank market. And now to the international market for the commodity prices. And that was business. Have a good evening.
Many thanks for staying with us. The health news is brought to you by FPAC Blows Your Pain Away. In the news tonight, for the past 3 years, Esther Amoma has lost the ability to see in her right eye, and as a result, the left eye is also gradually becoming affected. This could lead to permanent loss of sight. She's appealing to the public to support her with at least 20,000 cedis being the amount needed for the reconstructive surgery to prevent further damage to her eyes.
30-year-old Esther Amoma, a trader at Atempoku in the Eastern region, is completely impaired in the right eye. Narrating the cause of a setback, Esther said she lost one eye after the driver of a truck lost control of his vehicle and veered off into bystanders at Atempoku. At that time, she was selling by the roadside and unfortunately got caught in the accident. Esther now struggles to see properly and is currently unemployed due to her condition. According to doctors, a surgery needs to be done and the total cost is 20,000 Ghana cedis. Donations could be sent to the following account details: Zenith Bank, account name Evans Abloni, account number 906-190-4209, or contact them on 0249 203 031 or 0204 740 338.
And staying with public appeal, Cyril Bani Aram is suffering from a kidney disease. He therefore has to undergo hemodialysis 3 times a week, without which he could die. An amount of 100,000 cedis is needed for chronic dialysis to correct his abnormality.
Bani Cyril Aram is 25 years old and a level 300 student of the University of Education, Winneba. 6 months ago, Cyril started experiencing severe headache and blurred vision. Doctors later diagnosed it as a kidney disease. This has greatly affected Cyril as he can no longer go about his daily activities. As a student, his academic performance has come to a halt due to his ill health. Doctors say the best option is for him to undergo a chronic dialysis, which involves a total of 100,000 Ghana cedis.
Appealing to the public to come in and help assist me. As I'm here, I cannot drink like more than 2 sachets of water a day. I'm supposed to live on just 1 sachet of water a day. And in school, I feel weak. I cannot walk, so I can't go for lectures as normal as my colleagues.
Donations could be sent to the following account details: Ghana Commercial Bank, account name Sena Bani, account number 130-101-021-7052, or call 0540-517-922.
And moving on to the national immunization exercise, the public health intervention of immunizing children below age 5 began today. With 2 drops of polio vaccine orally, children would be free from the crippling disease poliomyelitis. The health news team followed up on the vaccination exercise, and it was evident that most children within the age limit had been vaccinated.
Since 2008, Ghana has not recorded any polio outbreak due to some key WHO interventions, which include routine vaccination campaigns, mop-ups, and active surveillance. This year's polio vaccination exercise in the country commenced today in 108 districts in all the regions. By mid-morning, most children below the age of 5 in various schools in the capital had been vaccinated. At Bright Minds Montessori, it was revealed that the polio vaccination team had already immunized the children.
Polio vaccination. To put medicine in my mouth. They put medicine in my mouth.
The headmistress of the school, Mrs. Rebecca Lati, said as early as 7 a.m., health workers were in the school to vaccinate the children. Mrs. Lati said the children were given 2 drops of polio vaccine and vitamin A each to children above 6 months to strengthen the immune system and ensure good sight.
Normally, most parents want their children to be vaccinated under their supervision, but then they all gave me the go-ahead that they should be vaccinated in their school. So they were here this morning to vaccinate them.
All children below age 5 in the selected districts of the country are expected to be vaccinated by Saturday, 24th October 2015.
And with that, we wrap up the health news brought to you by FPAC Blows Your Pain Away. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the news. On the international front, 29 South Africans have been charged with public violence amid the biggest student protest to hit the country since apartheid ended in 1994. Police again fired grenades to disperse students in Cape Town a day after protesters stormed the parliamentary complex. Thousands also descended on the governing party's headquarters in the main city, Johannesburg. The students are angry with a proposed increase in tuition fees. The demonstrations began last week at Johannesburg's prestigious University of the Wit and have since spread to at least 10 universities, forcing the closure of many of them.
And in Sudan, the government has accepted an invitation from the African Union to attend peace talks with the rebel Sudan People's Liberation Movement North in Addis Ababa next month. The SPLM-N has been battling Khartoum's forces in the southern Blue Nile and South Kordofan states since 2011 and did not immediately say whether they would attend the talks. The government was prepared to attend. A round of talks last year ended without result. The latest invitation comes as Khartoum redoubles its efforts to persuade the SPLM-N and rebels from the Western Darfur region to join a national dialogue aimed at resolving the insurgencies. 3 main Darfur rebel groups and the SPLM-N, which forms part of the Sudan Revolutionary Front, SRF, have declined to attend and called for a meeting outside the country to set conditions for dialogue. And with that, we end the international news. We'll be back with news from the world of sports.
Hello, good evening. Some update from the world of sports. Remember, it's in partnership with Tobingo Pharmaceuticals Limited, producers of Lunat. Now, a 3-day national cycling championship has started in Accra, and one man, Nuru Padi, is on course to win the competition. The opening day of the race had cyclists from 12 clubs racing in a 90-kilometer loop from the Accra Sports Stadium to Winneba and back to the Accra Sports Stadium. On Friday, the cyclists will again race in an 85-kilometer loop from the Accra Sports Stadium to Mamfe and back. The final stage of the race will be held on Saturday at Manchagbona near Bukom in Accra, where the cyclists will mount an assault on an 80-kilometer criteria course. Saturday's final will be preceded by a mass cycling event reserved for amateur cyclists from all across the Greater Accra region. Nuru Padi Al Hassan made his intentions of winning the competition known as he raised passport to win the first day event. He shared his experience.
The training is everything. You cannot see that once you are sleeping, somebody too is training. So everything is training. It's not about medicine. It's not about taking drugs. No, you train. So if you train, you can come forward.
The championship is also to honor the memory of the country's most dominant rider and serial champion, Samuel Elim, who met his untimely death last August after an accident on the Ebri Mountains. The National Paralympic and Wheelchair Racing Team have lost the opportunity to participate in next year's Paralympic Games. The team says they feel very disappointed.
When the All African Games, as we all know, that was one of the biggest events of the year.
That was last month in September.
Last month in September. And then we returned back home on somewhere 21st or 22nd. So a week after then I had a call from MPC.
That is the National Paralympic
Committee indicating we can't make it to Doha because of there's no funds for us to go. The only way we can make we can go to Doha is to raise money on our own to see how best we can go and represent the nation.
That is disappointing. How much do you need really?
Yeah, we need each athlete need about $5,000, but looking at the breakdown, $8,000 can take the two of us to Doha because we have already spent about almost $6,000 already on our own coffers through the Go Get and Racing Club to get a qualification in Desert Challenge in May. So with that and our own to do that, and the country coming in, because we are not going there to represent ourselves, we are going there to represent the nation Ghana and then to rise the flag of Ghana high. And the part also is that is the qualification for 2016 Brazil for the Paralympic. So I don't see how we can miss out of that. And I don't see how it's not possible for us to go. Because this, if we believe that sports is one of a chance for people to get employment, this is a bigger chance. And this is what can motivate our colleagues up there people are seeing the roadside that they don't have nothing to do. We go in there coming, they also can have some motivation and one way or the other to also be inspired to do something to help each other. So if it happens this way.
And thank you for joining us for News Hour. We'll be back at 10:30 with News Tonight.